There was some big news on Court of the Rings today, on May 8th. The upcoming 26.1 update for Lotro is set to arrive in the middle of next week if everything goes well. And the big thing about this is that we're getting really big hunter buffs. So hopefully hunters will become viable. They're not awful by any means, but they're not great either. So we'll take a look at all the changes that's gonna be coming. And there was also mention of a small Warden rework, maybe for tank, who knows. But okay, let's look at all these hunter changes. In general, all the hunter bow skills are gonna go up almost across the board. This is definitely needed. Hunters are not close to Bergs or Wardens, and they need a buff. And this is clearly good. The AoE skills are being improved in general. This is also good for hunters, as they lack good AoE, which means that in stuff like 3-mans, they were often neglected for stronger AoE DPS. But if AoE gets improved, then they should definitely become viable again for stuff like that. Hunter melee and trap skills are going way up. I don't know how big of an effect this will have, but it should of course be higher than it is right now, because right now it's pretty bad. Moving on, melee skills will now also generate focus, which will increase the value of using them, hopefully. And a number of secondary skills cooldowns have been reduced. I don't know exactly which skills, but I would guess like blood arrow, skills like that. So what we're aiming for is that the skills should feel more balanced in general, and your rotation should have more useful options available. I guess we'll see when they release this patch how it feels for Hunter, but to me this looks promising. Now looking at some skills in general. Improved pen shot, mitigation debuff, magnitude has been reduced. So right now it's 5% Fismit on the target that you're hitting with pen shot. I'm guessing it's going to be reduced to about 3% or so. But the big change is that it now applies a tactical mid debuff as well. So it's probably going to be like 3% Fizz and 3% tac mid. This is a really good change, makes Hunter viable for any group setup. The cooldown on Dazing Blow has been reduced by about 2/3. And Low Cut's cooldown has been increased from 5 to 10 seconds. And its base AoE targets has been reduced. Set Trap cooldown induction has been reduced by about a quarter. And as we mentioned before, most of bow skills damage has been increased. And the worse the skill was before, the more it got buffed. So if a skill really sucked, then the more love it should have gotten. And also damage on all melee skills and trap skills has been increased greatly. But of course this needs testing when we get the patch. They didn't have time to do a bull roar test, so this is all going to be tested when it comes to live. See if any trap skills or any melee skills are viable in the rotation. We got a few notes on specific lines. Blue line specific. Scorching Blow, bleed removal. When you remove the barbed arrow bleed, now does heavy additional damage, which is about 2 to 3 pulses of barbed arrow. So this might be worth using now. So hunters might have to be close to be able to use this attack. Split Shot now costs 2 focus, and induction has been reduced by 1/3, and damage greatly increased. A good change. Hunters need more AoE or trash pulls. Be helpful for that. Moving on to Redline. Upshot's cooldown has been reduced from 20 to 15 seconds. But the crit cooldown reduction now only removes 1 second instead of 2. So whenever you crit with a skill, the cooldown on Upshot and Heartseeker would be reduced by 2 seconds. That is now reduced to 1 second every time you crit. But the base cooldown on Upshot has been reduced to compensate. Heartseeker base cooldown has also been reduced, and the set bonus for Rem has been adjusted to reduce 15 instead of 30. So we'll see where the Heartseeker cooldown lands. There were no specific details on this yet. Some more Redline stuff. Rain of Arrows cooldown has been increased slightly, but the damage has also been increased. The Rain of Arrows focus cost is also increased. So it's more expensive, but it's stronger. A big change to Hail of Arrows. This skill no longer resets Rain of Arrows if you crit on a mob, but instead reduces the cooldown by 2 seconds on every crit you hit with Rain of Arrows. So if you hit 2 crits, it would reduce by 4 seconds, 3 crits, 6 seconds, and so on. And another thing, Hail of Arrows no longer has a 30-second cooldown. So this can proc all the time, every time you use Rain of Arrows. So I'm assuming it's gonna be use Rain of Arrows on a bunch of mobs. And depending on your crits, it should be back pretty quickly. Obviously, the more targets that you hit, the faster you'll get Rain of Arrows back. Just overall good changes to Hunter AoE, I think. Some Yellow Line specifics. Trip Trap cooldown has been reduced. There wasn't a lot of numbers because they're adjusting the numbers still. Lingering Wound now costs 2 focus, and the instant damage has been increased. Rain of Thorns cooldown has been reduced by about 2/3. Damage has been greatly increased, and it now costs less focus to use. And the Yellow Line set bonus has also been adjusted to accommodate this change. And more Yellow Line. Tripwire cooldown has been reduced. The one trap cooldown has been reduced. The one trap instant damage has been increased greatly, but the damage over time has been reduced, and it now costs 1 focus to use. Piercing trap cooldown has been reduced, and now also costs 1 focus. Explosive arrow cooldown has been reduced, and decoy cooldown has been reduced. That's pretty much all the news that we got from Cordovan on Court of the Rings. And to me this looks promising for hunters. Let's hope they're not overtuned, let's hope they're in a good place. Hopefully they land near Bergs and Wardens for single target. Because hunters have been in the shadows for a while now. And just quickly, Cordovan mentioned that Wardens are on Bastion's to-do list, which means they have plans for Wardens to do some work on the class. And since they just did some work on the red line by adding like a dot pulse and stuff like that, I would assume that they're going to look at blue for tanking, hopefully, because blue really needs some adjustments to be viable. Wardens lack good cooldowns compared to the other tanks, and hopefully they can make them viable tanks again. And of course there's a chance that they will work on yellow, but I personally hope they look at blue first before they even think about yellow. But yeah, that was all the news from the Court of the Rings stream. Thank you for watching. leave a like, subscribe, and join my Discord for a lot of Lotro content and discussions, and also giveaways. I will see you in the next one.